Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I'm unboxing the Anker Prime 14-in-1 160 watt docking station. Now this is an interesting product. It retails for roughly $250 US. I'll include a link in the description. And in full disclosure, this was not furnished to me by Anker, but rather I purchased it. So again, if like me, this seems like it might appeal to you, I understand exactly why. Because what we're getting here is half charging station, half docking station, something that really hasn't been done before. Yes, many docking stations out there offer charging options, but none really take it to this level, which again is 160 watts total. Now, while I wish that Anker would have given us a power delivery 3.1 option on here so that we did have a 130 watt output, still 160 watt total is great. In fact, those of you who only need up to 100 are going to be satisfied, and that is the majority of users because, well, there are devices out there that do use power delivery 3.1, but they certainly are far and few between when compared to traditional 100 watt power delivery, which is still very much the standard. Well, in the realm of Apple, you're not going to ever really, I mean, you can exceed it, but most devices that people are charging, certainly phones, are never going to need more than 100 watts, cameras, tablets, all of that good stuff. And remember, while this isn't a Thunderbolt dock, it is rated at 10 gigabits per second, so up to 1 gig a second over its USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports. So that's still really good throughput that I think will make most people happy. Looks like I got some dirt on my packaging here, which is unusual with Anker because usually they say start by pulling out the bottom tray. So there's the bottom tray. I don't follow directions incredibly well, do I? But there's everything out of the package, at least per their instruction. Get rid of the cardboard altogether and pull out the actual charging cable and included Type-C to C. And let's go ahead and unwrap this and take a look. Now they are giving a little diagram here to let you know that you've got data ports on one side, charging ports on the other. And this is what I was saying. So you have a digital readout of what you're doing with your ports in question, and you just have to remember this is the dock for people who want more than just a dock. They want a device that's also going to charge the things that, well, live on their desk. And that's why I think this was a smart device for Anker to roll out. But Anker tends to do this. So on the front of the device, you have 3 charging station ports, 2 Type-C, 1 Type-A, and then these are, all 3 of these, again, 2 Type-C, 1 Type-A, are all going to be communicating with whatever computer or device, obviously computer, you connect this to. I like the finish on this. We have lots of ventilation, power button up here at the top. Then on the back, this is where a lot of the other action happens clearly. You have your Type-C port to connect your laptop of choice to. This will be the communication port. So essentially it will be providing power as well as any data that has to transfer to and from the PC. This is also what's going to facilitate the ability to have video out. And you may have noticed we have an HDMI out, 2 of them. We have 2 more Type-A, or actually 3 Type-A ports, and then an Ethernet port. Now this is rated at 1 gig, I'm pretty sure. So would it have been nicer to have seen 2.5? Sure. I feel like that has become the standard. But again, this is really meant to do something that nothing else on the market does. We even have a headphone jack right there. So let me go ahead and plug this in. And really, this is an answer to anyone who's sick of having, you know, a hub as well as a charging device sitting on their table. And a good example of that, as I plug this in right now, and it should power right on, your little readout, which will give you all of the statistics of the power it is outputting. Again, 160 watts total, but the total max per these guys is 100 watts. So just remember that. But again, that's going to be enough for most users. I feel like 90% of the world is going to be fine. That's a totally made up number, but still feels somewhat accurate with 100 watt output. And so an example of why you'd go with something like this as opposed to a charging station on its own should be obvious, but if it's not, looks like there's a little bit of, I don't know if that's dirt or a little bit of damage to the finish, is this guy right here, which is their Anker's 250 watt power station. And this is a prime example, not to be cute. 170 US dollars, and all it does is deliver up to 250 watts across a total of 6 ports, and you can dial in exactly how much wattage to each port, but one of them is capable of power delivery 3.1, 140 watts over here on the left. This guy doesn't have it, but what it does have is 160 watts, as I've mentioned, so, more than half of what we have here at 250 watts, but then throw this in the garbage if what you're really looking for is a companion to the computer that you're operating on a daily basis, because this is going to do it. Because as I mentioned, 2 video out ports capable of 4K 60 each, Ethernet, and, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more peripherals are going to be connected to your computer of choice using that guy right there, the pass-through. So again, if 160 watts is enough to cut whatever you need to deal with regarding charging, this, in my opinion, is a much more desirable device than this guy, because you'll only have one on your desk instead of potentially 2. This plus a hub, here 2 devices in one. But if you're one of those people that knows that they need more than 160 watts, well then of course this docking station becomes kind of antiquated at that point, because, well, it's not going to satisfy your needs. But I really believe the majority of users out there will be satisfied with the 160 watts that this can provide. But it's all about what you're trying to power. It's all about what devices you need to charge. And it's just nice that Anker has given us 2 options that really don't exist on the market otherwise. So very cool. I will report back how this performs and whether or not it ends up working out in my setup. But one of the things that's also really nice about both of these devices, which I did not mention here on the docking charging station in question that I just unboxed, is that there is no power brick. It is all internalized into the dock. The same applies to the 250 watt station, and that is one of my favorite elements besides the overall design language and how compact both of these prime charging and / docking stations are here in 2024. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.